Hi, everyone. John Michael Coppola here, and welcome to the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast, where we chat with the actors, directors, choreographers, designers, producers, music directors, lyricists, playwrights, and all the artists who make the Chicago area theaters come alive. We're so excited to have you here with us today. But before we get started, we just want to remind you to please like, subscribe to, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues who you think would appreciate the conversations we're having. We'd be so grateful for your support in this way so we can continue to bring these stories for years to come. Thanks again for being here, and now, curtain up on today's episode. Our Pride Month celebration continues with today's guests, who are the director and one of the cast members of the current local tour of the Revolutionists. Iris Sowlat holds an MFA in theater directing from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. In 2018, Iris was named one of Windy City Times' 30 under 30 LGBT Chicagoans making a difference, and in 2019 founded Violet Surprise Theatre with Allison Fradkin. In 2025, she directed Amy Crider's Buddha's Birthday at Lucid Theatre, Lauren Gunderson's The Book of Will for Triton College, and Come Along for the Ride for Ecologic. Some of her favorite Chicago directing credits include Romeo and Juliet with Accidental Shakespeare Company, The Days Are Shorter for PrideArts, and ABCD at Piven Theatre. She is the director of Violet Surprise's current tour of the Revolutionists. Leslie S.R. Beebe formerly began at Second City in 2016, completing the writing and improv programs, with several of her written sketches performed on the stages there, as well as featured in Sketchfest 2020 at Stage 773. Drawing inspiration from Lucille Ball, Moms Mabley, Robin Williams, and other classic comics who made physical comedy and character work into an art form, she has appeared in the independent short film Who's Waldo, and as an active member of Theater of Western Springs, where her performances include A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, Birthday Candles, Doubt, and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. She's also a member of the group's Playwrights Ensemble. She has performed solo and group improv shows for many private functions, and has also toured with Violet Surprise Theater's production of Five Lesbians Eating a Quiche, and currently The Revolutionists. Tickets for The Revolutionists can be found using the link in our show notes. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Iris Sowlat and Leslie S.R. Beebe. Now let's go to the top of the show. Hi, Iris. Hi, Leslie. How are you both doing?
Hello, I'm good.
Hello.
I'm so excited to have you both here on the podcast. So we have a little tradition here, and that is to ask our guests to tell our listeners what your first theater experience was. So let's go alphabetically. Iris, let's start with you.
My first theater experience was when I was a kid. I started taking classes at Piven Theatre in Evanston, and I loved it. Prior to that, my family was not really weren't often theater goers, but my parents put me in class at Piven because they noticed that I was very, I think, rambunctious and expressive, but I was also kind of shy with other people. So they thought that theater might be a great outlet. And I took classes at Piven for 10 years, and that was awesome.
How about you, Leslie?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure if it's like actual theater, but I guess my first experience with theater-ish, it was when I want to say maybe like 6 or 7, and we had to do like school plays. I was in a private school system, and I think it might have been like a Christmas pageant.
Okay.
And they gave me, I guess my memory was like great back then because they gave me other kids lines that couldn't recite, so they just gave them to me, and then I was the one to just do everybody else's job. Yeah, that was it.
Cool. All right, well, now let's roll it back for everybody, a glimpse into your background and where you grew up, all that good stuff. And Leslie, since we're already speaking with you, why don't you take it from here, and then we'll hop over to Iris.
Well, I guess born in Chicago, raised in the western suburbs. I never really pursued theater like professionally, but it's always been a part of my life, like in grade school, obviously. And in high school, I had a really strong theater program at it's called Walther Christian Academy now, but theater was a really great experience I had with them. And then after I graduated, I did theater with a group, and we did a musical and we did like real dance and choreography, and I was
What
just
was
like,
the
wow,
musical?
Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a big one.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm just like, wow, music is different, and the choreography with like this different group, it was something like I loved making that kind of magic.
Hmm.
But I was always told there's no money in theater, so I kind of like went a different kind of way.
Okay.
And now theater has come back to me, very recently. Well, actually, no, because like I remember for my 30th birthday, I said, you know what, I want to do things that scare me.
Hmm.
And one of those things was telling jokes. I didn't think I was funny. And I enrolled over at Second City and I did the writing program for sketches. And I took it even further because I'm like, well, what else scares me? And I said, oh, yeah, improv. So I did the improv program over there and completed it. And I took it a step further and I did stand up. And that has, really like I really ignited my love for comedy and like live stage theatrics and just like the whole writing thing. The writing part too was something that I've always done when I was from little up
Yeah.
until now. So yeah, theater it just came back to me as like a revival since like 2023.
Fantastic. I have a good buddy who is a big improv guy here in town, Patrick Nicola. We're actually going to have him on as a guest sometime later this year. He did the main stage show at Second City earlier this year. He was going on as an understudy, and I saw his post, and I was like, dude, are there tickets available for this weekend? And we went. He was so great. I've always known him to be an improv guy. Obviously, we're such a big improv town here. And it's one of the things that I'm seriously considering doing is enrolling in an improv class, because it's the one thing, same with me, it really scares me. I've
Yeah.
been an actor, singer, dancer my entire adult life, but improv just scares the bejesus out of me. So if I can do it, it'll open me up as an actor and give me a lot more tools and skills in that area, but it scares me as well. So I may follow your lead on that. I'll keep you posted how that all goes.
Yeah.
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 It's nice to know there's people out there who are attacking what scares them and coming out on the other side, enjoying all the fruits of their labor. So I'm happy to hear that that's working out for you. Iris, let's hear about your background and your training.
I was born in Chicago and I was raised mostly in Wilmette, Illinois, and I got my bachelor's degree in theater and English from Illinois Wesleyan University. I loved Shakespeare. I studied abroad for a semester in London learning about Shakespeare. I also did a high school program in Oxford at Oxford University for a summer learning about Shakespeare. So that's also one of my great loves. And after undergrad, I spent about 6 years from 2015 to 2021 directing in Chicago. Some of my favorite shows have been Joan of Arc, which I self-produced for Rhino Fest, and Romeo and Juliet for Accidental Shakespeare Company. And then during the pandemic, I applied to graduate programs and I got in. I'm I got my MFA in directing from University of Massachusetts at Amherst, and I
Great.
felt like going during a pandemic was a great time to start because I kind of got to like recommit myself to learning and just figure out how to be a better director. And then I
Mm.
came back about 2 years ago and I picked up right where I left off. I am very lucky and blessed that like my friends and colleagues in Chicago remembered me and immediately were interested in like working together with me and helping me get opportunities to direct their work. Yeah, so I've been back for 2 years and I've been enjoying it.
Now, you both have pretty different backgrounds in the way you've trained. And so I'm curious who you each have in your lives that you would point to as being some of the most influential people in your life. And Iris, why don't we keep it going with you?
I would say one of my graduate school professors, Elisa Gonzalez. She is a well-known professional dialect and voice coach. And in grad school, she was such an excellent mentor because she really helped me a lot with my journey teaching students. I'm also a theater teacher. And so she taught me a lot about how to be a really positive influence for younger people. She was also an excellent mentor when I'd have some like rough patches in my directing and in my other work.
Mhm.
She also really got me interested in voice and speech, encouraging me to take Linklater voice classes And I did an independent study in voice and speech with her as well. So she was just so encouraging and she really, really, it seemed like invested in my professional career. And I think she was one of the favorite professors I've had in graduate school. And she just got tenure like this week. So congratulations to her.
Well, I mean, to get to this point, I want to thank my math teacher, my algebra teacher, Miss Pat Ratuno, who, I mean, foundationally, I didn't think I would be good at math because of all the stereotypes and whatnot or whatever, but she made math fun, and she gave us full-size candies whenever we got $100 quizzes.
Nothing like some good old candy motivation for students.
Like good incentive for us to realize, oh, wow, if we did it for candy, we can do it for other things too,
Yeah.
And so that ignited in me that I could be better than what I thought I was. And then I had really great theatrical directors at the beginning. I want to thank Andy Peterson, who has also written some plays as well. He was a professor over at Concordia. And then my music teacher, Mr. Richard Rose, he passed away during the pandemic. But he has always been, someone to keep the music part in me, just, more appreciative and alive. And I love that because before I wasn't into musicals as much. So I'm just I love them, but as far as just being in them or whatever, I'm just whatever. But he just brought that beauty back and then made me realize that there's some things about that I loved when I was little. And now I just ended up closing a musical, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels at the Theater Western Springs just last weekend. Yeah. So I was in that and I was just remembering, all the hard work and, just if it wasn't for them to keep the light lit, I probably would have burned out a long time ago.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really appreciate them. And then my brother, Sean Ryle, he actually went over he's an artist as far as acting is concerned. He's more the dramatic thing and I'm more the comedy. He doesn't do the comedy very well, but he doesn't like it. But he was someone who followed his dreams. After he graduated from NIU, he drove straight to Los Angeles to try and become an actor and artist in that form. Okay. And despite what everybody else was saying, he kept on and he kept with it. And so he's still doing stuff right now. So yeah, my brother was a big inspiration for me as well.
Always nice to hear when there's people in the family who have the same passion you do. You can sort of feed off of each other and motivate each other, hopefully motivating each other and not feel like it's a competition at times.
That too. I mean, it keeps it fun.
I read in your bio that you also count Lucille Ball and Moms Mabley and Robin Williams and several other classic comics as your inspiration. So I'm curious what tricks of the trade you may have drawn from them the most when you are performing or writing.
Well, collectively for my trinity of comedy, it's all being fearless but honest on stage. And that is something that all of them share from me, is that they're all fearless individuals when it comes down to execution to get that laugh. Lucille Ball, living your truth, Moms Mabley, and being honest and just playing Robin Williams. So the three of them, those types of those little pieces of them is just something that is just, it's just so yummy. I just hold it so close to me in my heart. And I take that anytime I'm being on stage or I'm writing something and I am in my most true form is when I get to do some type of comedic slapstick or whatever, when the pretty girl doesn't mind getting a little dirty. Just I want to say that when the pretty girl is not afraid to get a pie in the face, but that can mean so many things right now. But it's just to get that laugh. I love that so much.
Yeah, there's no better thrill than that, huh? And the three of them, they're all so different in exactly the way you described it. They all have their own
magic, I want to say.
Their own magic. That's exactly it. Yes, they have their own magic and their own specific styles made them great at what they did. And to draw from all of them, I mean, gosh, you couldn't have picked three wildly different, but three quintessential comedians in their own right to draw from.
I love them so much.
Yeah, they're
And
all
they were
fantastic.
legendary in their crafts also.
Yeah. Iris, so in 2018, you were named one of Windy City Times 30 Under 30, LGBTQ Chicagoans making a difference in the theater. And then 2019, you co-founded Violet Surprise Theater. So congrats on all of those amazing accolades. But starting a theater company, it's not for the faint of heart. So I'm curious what gave you the inspiration to start the theater company and also what that journey's been like.
Thank you so much. It's been a lot. It's been so wild. I started it with Allison Fradkin in 2019 because we'd worked together a couple times before at a different company, and it seemed like we had very similar sensibilities in terms of envisioning the kind of theater we wanted in the world, but we also brought kind of different skill sets and different types of talents into it. And she and I ended up, this was actually her idea, to come up with a fan fiction festival that was basically, we put out a call for submissions for scripts that would queer the theater canon. Like, I ended up directing Allison in a queer I Love Lucy parody with Lucy and Ethel being gay for each other.
Oh my
And
God, fantastic.
to us, like, that vision was because, like, there have always been queer people throughout history, and so why not make the theater we wanted to see? And then the title Violet Surprise came from, I think I was starting, we didn't have a title for the festival, and I was like making a marketing graphic, and I was like, a Violet Surprise for you, because it's a surprise, because it's lesbian fan fiction. And Allison was like, that could be your title. And also, violets are a historically lesbian flower. And I was like, okay, that's the festival title. So the festival was awesome. It was super sold out, and we still liked each other at the end of it. And so Allison was like, oh yeah, now we're a new company. And we're like, oh, okay, cool, I guess so. So we produced like a lot of work together just before the pandemic, and then pivoted really well, I think, to virtual programming during the pandemic. Then I went to grad school. And then also in the last couple of years, we did a couple full staged readings of the play Jane, Abortion in the Underground by Paula Kamen. She's also a theater inspiration that I'd love to shout out. Her play was about the real life Jane organization that helped women in the 1960s get underground abortions prior to Roe versus Wade. So as a company, we did that in 2022 and 2025, coinciding with ending Roe versus Wade and the election as our way of fighting back. And then this production is our first full production and first touring production as Violet Surprise. We did get the structure of the tour from a different company that Allison worked for a few years, overlapping with when I was in grad school. Allison was part of a company called Mosaic Players, and they did a similar touring model around the north side. No, that's the north side, the northern suburbs, actually, like as far north as Antioch, Illinois. And I was very intrigued by that model because they did this production called Five Lesbians Eating a Quiche, which is how I met Leslie, because I had like gone to a few rehearsals and given notes. Leslie was in quiche and she could talk about that. And then the company folded, like actually right before they were about to hire me to direct the Revolutionists for them. And so Allison and I, after the company folded, I was like, oh, well, I still want to do that play. And Allison was like, we have a company, we should just do it. So luckily, like, she still had all those contacts from her touring production with Mosaic, and we were able to kind of pick up the torch, and we already had the infrastructure for that. So I really appreciate how that came together, and I really appreciate Allison as a collaborator and as a colleague. Like, she is so amazing to work with, and running a theater is a lot of work, and I could not do it without her. And I love this touring model because it's our way of bringing theater out to the people, and bringing it to places where those community members might not go into Chicago to see storefront theater, but they would see something that's at their library or at their park district. Yeah. So I love just how many people we're able to reach. So that's Violet Surprise so far, kind of our history in a nutshell.
That's such a great snapshot of from where you were to where you are now. And I love the stories of people who are just making their own work because they have the infrastructure, as you said, in place. Sometimes the infrastructure is not even there, but they just have the desire. And, you know, the touring model that was sort of handed down to you from the other company. It's just such great work that you guys are doing. And I'm so happy to have you here to talk more about it. Leslie, tell me a little bit about your part in the Revolutionists.
I play Marianne Angeal, and you know, her character specifically isn't based off of a person in history. I mean, she's a collection of historical Haitian figures. There's women who were pivotal to the Haitian Revolution around the same time the French were fighting their revolution for freedom. And she is more of a grounding character. I guess she's the straight guy or the straight man in the comedy, you know? So it's kind of like, I mean, more, I would rather be playing like slapsticky stuff, but like this one is just, for me, seeing her as someone who's just trying to hold things together and who is the anchor for truth. And she is someone who I guess people can look to as like just hope for a better future in that show. So like I do love her character. It's not someone who I've played like ever, you know. And she's very also maternal. I mean, she is a mom. I'm a mom too. So like that's how like I can just pick some things as far as like some commonality between me and this character. But fascinating role. It was definitely a flex for me.
Stretching those serious muscles for a little bit instead of being the comic relief.
There are some funny moments, you know. I mean, obviously this play is a comedy. It says it, you know, several times in the very beginning of the, you know, page of the actual script. So that's what drew me in. But, you know, now, you know, just being part of a comedy and not in a different way. Yeah. You know, you kind of need that anchor in order for everybody else to go off. So,
Iris, I didn't mean to skip over the Revolutionists. You started to talk about what the play is about. And if you don't mind expanding on that a bit more, I would love our listeners to know exactly what the play is about.
The Revolutionists by Lauren Gunderson is a fictional but also very real historical drama comedy. It is about 4 women, 3 of whom were real people exactly, one of whom, Marianne, played by Leslie, is a composite character of a few women from Haiti at the same time. And these are 4 people of the French Revolution. And each of them comes into the play with extremely different perspectives because of privilege and what they want at this time. And because of the magic of theater, they all collide in the same room, even though they've never met, they would have never met in real life. And they eventually find sisterhood through revolution. They find how to empathize with each other and co-regulate during this time that's terrible, because it's like it's literally called the reign of terror, not the reign of fun times. And hundreds of people are being guillotined every single day. So it's not a good time. But I was drawn to the play because it is about finding sisterhood despite your differences in terrible times. And it's also about what happens when women pick up their pen and when women take control of their narrative. Since like Olympe de Gouges, who could be considered the lead in this play, even though I see it as more of an ensemble piece, she was a real playwright who wrote a declaration on the rights of women at that time period. And that's how she's portrayed in the show. And like, I think that is a through line in most of the things that I've directed. Most of the things I've directed are about women or just people, regardless of gender, picking up the pen and writing their narrative, writing WRI or writing RIGHT, their own story, which is a theme that I think appeals to everybody. So yeah, it's historical. It is a comedy. The playwright is so gifted at using humor and witty repartee to shed a light on how bad things really are, because sometimes you can't help but just laugh. And
Hmm.
like Leslie, I feel like there is a universe where like Marianne would totally throw a pie at Marie Antoinette's face
Or cake.
or a cake. Yeah.
Well played.
Like, now that I've learned more about your affinity for comedy, like, I'd love to direct you in, like, just a purely, like, slapstick show sometime. I think that would be a blast.
You heard it here first, folks. Little spark of inspiration happening right here on the podcast. Fantastic. Let our listeners know when they can catch the Revolutionists, where it's playing. I know it's on tour. So give us all those details before we forget to get them out there.
You can find our complete tour schedule using the QR code on our posters. We have social media, Facebook and Instagram, and we post the tour schedule as a PDF there. It is also like changing and updating a bit as we go. We have a Chicago show on the evening of Saturday, June 27th at the Alliance Francaise in River North. We have a show, a matinee at like 1:30 on July 11th in Burger Park in July. That's in Edgewater. We also have shows in Glen Ellen, Des Plaines at some point.
Wow, you guys are all over. That's
Yeah,
great.
like so we're truly going all over, and I gave you the
Yeah.
dates for most upcoming shows, but we're running through early August.
And is there a website that they can go to see all this information?
We don't have a Violet Surprise website yet, but I have
Okay.
the link to the schedule on
Okay.
my professional website as well as on the Violet Surprise Facebook and Instagram.
Fantastic. We'll link to
Yeah.
all that. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure if there was a website that they could capture in listening. So there should be plenty of opportunities for people to come see it. I'd like to know from both of you what type of advice you have for aspiring theater makers. And Iris, let's continue with you.
Just do it. Just go for it, because theater is a field where everybody is told no so much, and everybody is given many, many chances to quit, whether it's because of the lack of money in the field or just rejection, like especially actors. And I know I've been told no overtly a lot, and I've been also subtly discouraged once in a while because I'm also disabled, I'm legally blind, and so and also for a director, it's hard to get jobs as a director unless you start by making them yourself and putting your work out there. So I've always like tuned out those no's, and I kept doing the thing, which is why I get to direct a show like this 10 years out of undergrad, because I spent those 10 years working hard and just saying yes. So yeah, I'd say just do it.
How about you, Leslie?
3 things, because comedy works in threes. So 1, do things that scare you. Okay. 2, be open to growth and good advice. And 3, don't take yourself so seriously. Maintain your boundaries, but don't take yourself so serious.
I love that last one. Last week's guest, Nick Sanchez, he was in the company of Hamilton, the tour, and on Broadway. And he has a tattoo that we spoke about on his arm that says, "Don't forget to play." And that's exactly why, because he said, you know, we have so many things in life, and both on stage and off stage, just the one thing we need to remember is just to play. It's called to play for a reason, and to just have a good time doing it. And sometimes even in life, don't take yourself too seriously, and just don't forget to play. So I love that's a common theme for a lot of people, particularly in the comedy realm. That would make a lot of sense. Where can our listeners find you both online?
I am doing a podcast with my best friend, Lester Jenkins. It's called Let's Talk with Lester and Leslie.
Fantastic.
And that is on all the platforms. We want to make sure that we want to cast a wide net to see if we can find community, because being Black is not a monolith. Being queer is not a monolith. Like we want to be able to say, hey, you know, our experiences in life are like this. Are yours too? We want to see, like, cast our nets out so that we can become better connected with people who we weren't sure that we could connect with, you know, and just open up for dialogue and discussion about anything, because the world is kind of crazy right now. But like, finding strength in community is something that we have to reignite again in order for us to find the strength in ourselves. So that's my project I'm working on. I'm also doing shows. I loved my community theater, Theater of Western Springs, which is where I met Allison, who brought me to Mosaic Players, who brought me here. So, in Five Loaves Museum in Nikish. So, like, I do stuff at Theater of Western Springs. They have a website, theaterofwesternsprings.com, and we just had our show, or we had all the shows for our 97th season come up, and so like maybe I'll be cast in some of those. I don't know, but like
Okay.
mostly I go there to do like stage managing and stuff. But let's talk.
I hope to have some of the leadership or any of the cast members of upcoming seasons from Theater of Western Springs. I'll have to get that contact from you if that's okay. And are you also on social media, Instagram, Facebook, any of that stuff?
Not so much. I mean, I do have an Instagram, but like I usually just work through my organizations that I'm with. There is Less Talk. That is an Instagram handle, but
okay, Let's Talk. Look for that podcast, everybody. And Iris, how about you? Are you on the social media?
I am, yes. You can find me on my website, which is my first name and last name, Iris Sowlat. I'm on Facebook, and my Instagram is more public. So Facebook and Instagram is also Iris Sowlat. And Violet Surprise Theater is also on Facebook and Instagram. And
Fantastic.
next up, at the end of July, I have a show running for a weekend. It is called Drunk Enough to Say I Love You by Carol Churchill with a new company called The Poor Players. And it is a short 1-hour romantic political thriller. So I'll be posting about that on my socials. And then Violet Surprise's next thing is a festival happening at the end of August called Hysterical Fest. It is produced by Violet Surprise in conjunction with the playwright Paula Kamen and the actress and activist Terry Lynn Hudson. This is a festival about the intersection of gender with disability, because for a long time, women, especially with invisible disabilities, have been not believed and often called hysterical. That's why also the word hysterical was crafted, hyst meaning the womb. So it is a festival that is for, by, and about women and non-binary people with invisible disabilities. So keep an eye out for that. That'll also be on my socials.
Amazing stuff. Thanks for promoting all that as well. I want to thank you both for being on the podcast. I was so looking forward to having you on once I got your email. Thank you both again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for joining us at the Chicago Theater Makers Podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. The Chicago Theater Makers Podcast is a production of Spirit Art LLC, and our podcast theme music is by Paul Langford. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, please drop us a note at our website, ChiTheaterMakersPodcast.com. That's ChiTheater, makers with an S, podcast.com. We hope you enjoyed spending time with us as much as we enjoyed spending it with you, and we'll see you on the board soon.